Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spilling the Tea on GovCon. I'm Teresa Moon, Director of Business Development and Relationships with Parabilis. We provide just-in-time financing for government contractors. And I love this part of my day when I get to share the spotlight a little bit with a friend and partner in the industry. The purpose of this program is to share industry resources and the experts who know it best with our growing government contract community. I love being able to support a small business in their efforts to grow and engage in the federal marketplace. And so I make it a point and an effort in my week to make connections in the industry with industry experts who can really share what outsourcing means and how it can be beneficial to your bottom line and to your ability to interact in the marketplace better. So our special guest today is Mike DuVall of Foster Thomas. Mike and I met in our networking group called NextCo. It's a business-to-business group of government contracting support services. And we met a couple of months ago, and I knew right away that he was someone that I needed to get in front of this listenership, because what you and your company provide is extremely beneficial to companies that are beginning to take that next step into that scaling and growth level of opportunity. And so I'm proud to have you here today, Mike. I appreciate your time. And if you would please give a little bit more information about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mike DuVall, born and raised in Maryland, have 4 kids, twin boys, 11 years old, a 9-year-old girl who's trying to take over the world, and a 5-year-old little boy who's just trying to hang on for dear life to all the different events. I've been in employee benefits since I left college. I went to University of Maryland after growing up in Crofton, and then moved back to Annapolis, really big triangle, but thick in government contracting, right? So Fort Meade, Naval Academy, there's just a number of GovCons in the area, and I grew up at it all around. So my wife owns Annapolis Pillow Company, so shameless plug on fancy custom pillows and tree skirts. So go take a look at AnnapolisPillowco.com. And then ultimately got into the benefits, employee benefits support for government contractors and fractional HR support due to just the overwhelming need. And that's kind of what have brought me in. It has grown and brought a big scale of support as companies grow, scale, get bought, and then flip out and do it again.
I love that, because you just teed me up for what I really wanted to talk about today. So a lot of what I focus on is outsourcing versus in-house. And I think I say it all the time. Our CEO told me when I first started that, from his perspective as a former federal contractor himself, that most CEOs are functional operators. They're subject matter experts who get into business because they know that they're great at what they do. However, being the best at what you do doesn't translate into success in the federal marketplace like it may in other places. And I think a lot of it is because people spend a lot more time trying to do everything than they do spending that time doing what they actually do best. And I hear a lot of my clients and prospective clients that are in that 10 to 30 employee range, that they really want to get to that 50 employee mark and beyond, because they know that that's when the real growth, the real magic happens. And there is something about that you might be able to talk about a little bit for us as well. But scaling to get to that point sometimes requires business owners to take a step back and really take a look at what outsourcing does to their bottom line and what a fractional support at any level, whether it's HR or accounting, or, we talk about it all the time in our NextCo group about why each of us are so relative to one another, even though we don't do the same things. But I think that really hitting on what a daunting task it is to grow if you're not willing to let loose the reins a little bit. And so from your perspective in your industry within services support, when you're scaling to get up to that 50 employee mark, which is, I believe, the sweet spot for you, and I'll let you talk a little bit more about that. That's a daunting task. And moving beyond that has a whole new set of issues that come into line with that many employees. So how does your service assist with that type of growth? And then in particular, within government contracting, why is what your company does better than what some of the competition does in terms of supporting government contractors?
Yeah, great question. So ultimately, especially being right by Fort Meade, we have a number of people that split out from the big contractors, right? So KW, Jacobs, SEIC, ASR Federal, those saying, hey, I can do it better. Like, I'm going to pay my people more. I'm going to give them better, work-life balance. And they know how to write code and they have great friends within the relationship. They get in and then they're like, oh my God, I don't know how to run a business, right? So I don't know about handbooks, policies and procedures. I don't know about writing affirmative action plans once I have to, get over the 50 or 5 million mark. I don't know how to meet requirements for the FAR requirements. So providing the hourly services gives you the ability to just use what you need, right? So you come in, create the infrastructure for the HR, handbooks, policies and procedures, onboarding support for those big contract awards. So you may not need that director of HR for the full entire year, but man, do you need it when you win that contract award, right? Those 30 days are from hell, trying to fit people in seats, get them updated in systems, get them aware of your internal policies, and then, step back out. So you may not need it for the full entirety of the year. So the fractional HR support, where we provide hourly services to members to help them on that way, is fantastic, because they can have as you know, a CFO that may wear the hat of HR, but when things get overwhelming, they can pass it off to our HR support team to kind of pick up the ball and run with it, and then step back out when you don't need it. So outside of that, when you get to your 10, 20, 30 lives, and you're expecting to be over 50 in the following year, you're treating a number of different issues and pain, not only on filling seats and the requirement of the administrative adds, terms, updates, into payroll, into benefits administration systems, but you're also dealing with new compliance measures that you may not know, right? Affordable Care Act, the 1095 requirements, all things that automation can really help you. And the process of bidding out, updating your contracts so you look like a bigger company, you offer better benefits with less guarantee issue underwriting, and the process of all enrolling through a smartphone to make you look like a much bigger company, right? And that's where we tend to come in when they cross over that 2025, expected to go over 50, bid you out, look like a bigger company, offer voluntary programs, do it integrated on an online enrollment platform, and then have it tie back to payroll. So all these voluntary payments and employee contributions don't become the headache that cause a lot of payroll auditing and extra support that's necessary.
And that's huge. That's what people don't understand. I mean, in a former life, I worked for a payroll company, and I was strictly small businesses under 50 employees. And a lot of times those companies that were under 10 employees were always trying to do it on their own. And they didn't have the compliance issues that a government contractor has. But anyone that's even engaged in one contract knows that if you have to scale in order to meet the requirements of that contract, there are sometimes requirements from the prime. Whoever your customer is going to require you to pay a certain way and to provide certain benefits. And if you're not understanding what that actually means, you could be out of compliance for your contract and then be in breach of it, which we all know what that means in any industry. You breach your contract, you're going to lose it. And the potential to get more.
Well, that's the big thing that's a problem right now, is it's such a competitive market that if you're not offering the best benefits, you're not offering the voluntary programs, the slick integrations, you just don't get access to those people, right? You can't fill the seats of the contracts that you have access to, but nobody's hooking onto your shingle.
Right. Exactly. And given the fact that there's such what do they have a term for it now about the way that staffing is going these days. It's not the Great Recession, but it's like
Great Resignation.
The Great Resignation. That's right. I was at a meeting yesterday that we were talking about that. And it's amazing to me because I don't know how you survive nowadays without any employment. But, it used to be that people were getting picky about where they wanted to stay. They stayed places under 5 years, typically because they were shopping around looking for better benefits, right? And today, especially in government contracting, if you're working for a contractor, they have to supply you with some, but the competition level to get you to that next level to keep the really great employees is really the burden on the employer. So being able to have a company that backs you up, that helps you with that onboarding process. I know getting that person that's right for the job is only step one. Onboarding them properly so that they feel comfortable to start doing what they do best and not have to worry about all the fluff in the background. I think that that's hugely, hugely important. And also so much more cost effective than taking yourself out of what you're doing and what you actually know how to do best. And trying to insert yourself, like you said, having a CFO handle HR, although sometimes it does go hand in hand, that there isn't really a place for it. I mean,
You're
I
paying
get
an
it,
hourly rate for a CFO that's way above what it should be for the administration and processing of ads, terms, deletes. So
right.
you're wasting money on hours spent that could be done elsewhere.
There you go. I mean, then let's conversation over. And you need to come back for every conversation that I had to share how outsourcing is always better for your bottom line. It's just sometimes people are just too stubborn to see it, but we'll convince them one partner at a time. We'll show them what's up. Well, listen, I know that you do a lot in the community as far as outreach and networking and spending your time with organizations that not only give back, but also support the government contractors in your region and beyond. So if you wouldn't mind giving us some information on some of the events that you've got coming up. I know our listenership, especially that'll be in your area, are going to want to meet you in person. Where are you going to be in the next couple of months?
Sounds good. So we take part in the AFSIA, especially the Central Maryland AFSIA, that has monthly luncheons at the Live Casino at Maryland. Big event, big hall. We normally have about 300 people there, from a lot of big primes to subcontractors and support specialists for the area. Be there on the 17th. There is an additional event on the 8th, AFSIA CMD, which is the Central Maryland Technology over Bagels at Praxis in Annapolis Junction, as well as I have to plug, I'm not going to be there because I'm taking the kids to Park City to snowboard, but Fort Meade Alliance Stars in Service Gala. And
I'm going to be there too.
Oh, you're going to be there? That's great.
Yeah, I got to find a dress.
Great event, April 9th, 7 o'clock at the Live Casino, black tie optional, but it is a fantastic, fun event that everyone should look for.
I'm excited. I've never attended, and I know last year they didn't have it because of COVID. And so I know that they're really, Parabilis is sponsoring this year. We're really excited about being a part of it. And I'm excited to get dressed up and go and have some fun. I'm not much of a gambler, but I can make myself figure it out pretty quickly for the benefit of the foundation, because it's a wonderful, wonderful reason to drop some cash.
Yeah, you don't have to gamble. There's a lot of like silent auction things that you can do and what have you. But
I like a silent auction.
So do I. I'm a sucker for that. Absolutely.
Me too, especially with kids, right? You can't go wrong with that kind of stuff. Yep. Hey, if you wouldn't mind elaborating a little bit more about AFSIA, now the group that you participate with the most, talk about that. That's a huge group. Why would participating in AFSIA be beneficial to a service provider or a government contractor? You said about the primes being there, but tell our listenership what that means to actually be there with them.
So I'll do two things, right? So AFSIA, especially Central Maryland for AFSIA, focusing on the Fort Meade area and the Intel space. There's also Pax River and DC-based AFSIAs, which are fantastic. But ultimately, it's being in and around the big primes and helping give back to the community of the government contracting relationship. So basically, you're there, you're volunteering for the events, you're dealing with a number of different primes that are the ones that are driving the big contracts to the subs that you're ultimately supporting, right? Yep. Also, Fort Meade Alliance is a fantastic location and building block, because a lot of the times Fort Meade doesn't send out their proposals. They're you can't bid them, they're awarded. And you have to know the people that have them in order to gain the seat. So this is one great way to connect to the people who are getting the contracts that may not know you specifically and may not know that you can help fill seats.
There you go. Customers in attendance.
100%. Yeah. So your customers are there. The people that you are looking to do business with, the big primes, are all there. And it's important to get involved in those networking arenas to make yourself known in order to get more looks.
Yep. And if I could add to that, be prepared to talk about what you do that would mean anything to them. Why should they care? Yep. Have that in mind before you walk up to a prime. I've got a couple of great connections that are the directors of small business for some pretty large primes. And I've seen them shred my clients because they didn't understand what the point of the conversation was. They just wanted to come up and talk about capabilities. Yeah. They don't care about that. They want to know that you know what they do and what they're working on and how what you have to offer applies to that. So
what
keep
they've
that
done
in
in the
mind.
past, what their contracts are, what they're looking for. If you do the homework beforehand and you come up and say, here's the opportunity, I know that I can help you with X, Y, and Z based on previous experience that I helped with X, Y, and Z. Oh man, you're so much better off.
And you will separate yourself from the herd, because most of the people that I've talked to have said nothing irritates them more than someone walking up and being too boastful about what they do well, and then they don't even understand what contracts they're working on right now or what the company even does. So it tends to be a funny conversation because it's always kind of like a blooper reel. However, when I introduce my clients and prospective clients to contracting officers or opportunities like that, I make sure I brief them. Don't go and think it isn't just being likable. You have to have something that they want. And if you've only got 30 seconds to a minute and a half to tell them what you do, you want to have it be as precise as possible for know already what they want. And if you do it, let them know why you do it better than everyone else. And that's it. Leave it at that. And then, ask them how you can follow up. But those types of events are so impactful because, especially if it's a sole source opportunity, if they don't know you, they're not going to come to you with that opportunity. They have to know who you are. And we tell people all the time, that's why we're in Nexco together. Relationships is the biggest way to get ahead in government contracting. It is always about who you know, and who you know will keep you in front of the people that you need in order to grow your business. And so lots of connections are necessary.
I'll say this, getting your knees kicked out by someone is a great learning experience, right? Yes. So it's one thing to be out there. It's one thing to be participating, but it's the other thing to do your homework, right? It only takes a couple of those experiences to get your knees kicked out that you'll do it a lot more often.
Absolutely. And we all know all too well, for most of us who are outsiders that come in, especially in military settings, you better know your acronyms and you better know how to pronounce them right. Right. Yeah. Otherwise, someone's going to correct you, and it's
credibility lost like that.
Right. Exactly. It'd be like, I misspoke. Where's the bar?
Yeah. I'll be back. Yeah.
Well, this is great. And I appreciate you, divulging into why it's important to go to these events. I think people are ready and chomping at the bit to be in person again. And if they're going to go to anything up in the DMV, these are great events to attend. So thank you. And
one last plug, and I'll put it out there, especially for service providers that deal with government contractors. CBDA is another one that is housed at the Naval, the Army Navy Country Club when they're in person, but they also do a virtual event that's normally on Thursdays. CBDA is a great connector. And you also—
What does CBDA stand for?
Capital Business Development Association.
There you go.
So that has a great way of a lot of BDs for government contractors that not only share opportunities, they look for teaming arrangements. And once you get on the listserv, it's just constantly posting new opportunities that you could take advantage of or possibly get new seats out of.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need to put that out. That's note to self. We're going to share that information with our constituents because that sounds like a fantastic group for growing government contractors. Awesome. Thank you for that shout. I actually wasn't aware of that group. So, and here I thought I knew almost everything. There you go. Proving me wrong again. No. That's awesome. So, great information, great resources for how you can grow. I want to, allow you to give some final tips and thoughts for growing government contractors in terms of what you do. What are some tips and tricks that you can share with our listenership?
No, absolutely. Obviously, staying on top of your benefits. If you grow past certain sizes, always do your homework, right? So you grow past 10 full-time lives, make sure you definitely go out to bid for market on your ancillary, your life, short-term, long-term disability. Get out of the age-banded rating, get into a unified rating. Get over 25 lives, go back out to market. You'll gain volume discounts as well as the ability to have free online enrollment systems based on the different carriers that you bid out with, right? As you cross over 50 lives, that's where integration credits occur. And some groups will pay technology credits towards online enrollment systems or EDI communications between payroll vendors or carriers, insurance carriers you deal with. EDI communications and API communications ultimately mean you're doing less manual input. You have one source, single source of system, benefits administration system, that can talk with your different systems, right? Outside of that, always keep abreast on what's going on in the technology side of your payroll vendor and that connectivity between the different systems. Your payroll vendor is going to be a big hub and spoke, because let's be honest, drives a lot of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the more connections that payroll vendor has, the less work you have to do to connect all your other systems, your Uninet, your Deltex, your Procast, your different HRIS systems. So try to stay on top, or at least do an annual dive within your broker or your professionals that you trust to say, what am I using? What could I be doing better in order to make the administrative burden on growing or shrinking? Because let's be honest, government contracts lose contracts as well. And there's a cost to down, take everybody off and offboard. So those are kind of the big tips. And then your HR services, when you get over 50 lives and you now have to report that you're doing an affirmative action plan on the new, law website, I believe Department of Labor, know that at any point you could get audited. And one of our things that we help a lot of groups out with is affirmative action plans in an under 2-week creation. So that's a little pit that has been helpful for a lot of our groups.
I love it. That was great. And I love those final thoughts that are very informative to help people stay on track and really be informed and be empowered to make good decisions. So that's what we're here for. And I'm grateful for everyone listening in today. This is Spilling the Tea on GovCon. We've had Mike DuVall of Foster Thomas. We're going to share with you his information so that you can contact him for more on how he can assist your business as well. Like I said, the purpose of this program is to give you empowering information to make good decisions for your business and help you grow. And we hope that you stay tuned for our upcoming podcasts and follow us online as well. We're on YouTube and a whole bunch of other great places, thanks to my production team. So that's why I don't do it alone anymore. So thank you so much for your time, Mike, and we'll see you all soon.
Thanks, guys.